Hey everybody, Michael V here. This video is going to be about building the Falcon 120. Most people know this as the, I believe, Nitroplanes Falcon 120. Actually, I bought mine at generalhobby.com. It's a pretty awesome airplane. Nice fiberglass fuselage. There are some things that need to be done to it to get it going. But what I decided to do was to go ahead and put together a video that encapsulates the whole build, everything soup to nuts. Did a lot of studying and looking around on the internet and found that there were a lot of information about people building little pieces, and you could spend hours and hours and hours and try to look up stuff, but this is going to be one video that covers everything, so get ready. I'm going to give you all the information you're going to need. First thing you need to know is this isn't a BVM Bobcat. It's a very cheap knockoff, hence the price. A Bobcat's going to run you, a couple $1,000s more, but it's $2,000 worth more of an aircraft. This thing here you need to take in. All the struts inside need to be high-soled. You do need to high-sol in all the ribs, all the way back. They're just ready to fall out. It's pretty bad. You need to high-sol the heck out of the front area where your nose wheel is going to go. Now, here's one thing I'm going to do. I'm going to show you what direction to take. A lot of people are taking different directions. They're going to either put a pusher prop on it, or they're going to take the next step up, which will be an EDF, or they're going to take the big step, which is going to be putting a turbine on it. You need to really decide which way you're going to go. The price differences can be fairly dramatic. So here, let me go ahead and walk you through how much it's going to cost to build this aircraft. Let's start there. All right. Let's start off. The aircraft's going to cost you about $2.25. To go with the brushless prop, about 160 bucks. The battery, minimal battery you need for brushless prop is a 6-cell, a couple $100 for that. 100 amp speed control, 9-channel receiver, 11 servos. This plane's heavy with servos. Now you can skimp a little bit by maybe doubling up while on your elevator servo, or maybe not putting flaps on it. But I'm going to go ahead and figure this up to do the whole plane the way it was designed to do. Retracts. Now don't let the $600 shock you. What I've done here is, this is what most of the people are using for retracts. And this is the whole kit. So if you want to build the airplane as a minimal brushless prop like I'm going to do to start off with, at least put the retracts in it, so that if you want to eventually go to an EDF or go to a turbine, you can. It has the gears and retracts ready to go. Now this is the retracts with the brakes and everything you need. It's the full kit. So $600. You can skimp by going the non-retractable little wire gear that comes with it, but I really wouldn't recommend it. If you've ever flown this airplane or a plane like it, that if it's not a turbine, like I say, if you go on the prop and it needs all the streamlinedness it can have, if that's a word, with the gear hanging down, and then you tuck the gear up with retracts, the plane flies completely different. It's a night and day difference. So at least put retracts in it. So anyway, I'm going to leave this price at $600 because this is the full retracts with brakes. Miscellaneous parts and tax, figure about $300 extra. That brings a grand total of about $2,100. Now that's for a pusher prop. And this, by the way, is the way I'm going to go, because I decided that I'm not that great of a flyer. And I just hate burying an airplane in the ground. So I want to get used to the airplane, get it trimmed, get the feel of the airplane, do a lot of touch and goes with it and everything. And then as I move up, which is what I want to do, my whole goal is to move up to turbine eventually. I now have the base plane done. All I have to do is put on either an EDF or a turbine, and everything else is all there. So this is where I'm starting. Now, if you want to go to the EDF first, base plane 225, an EDF. This price here is about the average if you want to put something like an XPS with a nacelle or a Schulman fan. A Schulman has a really cool 120 millimeter fan already tested, ready to go, that looks sharp. It's called a Fury, bright red. Anodized aluminum looks awesome hanging on the back of the airplane. And the battery, of course, goes up. You need 12 cells. You can run it on 10, but let's figure if you're going to go EDF, you're going to need 12 cells because the plane's going to get a lot heavier. 160 amp speed control. Same receiver, same 11 servos, same retracts. Miscellaneous parts and tax goes up about $100, so about $400. Brings this to a total grand price of about $3,100. All right, turbine time. Base price of the aircraft's the same. Turbine. This is the price of a 19-pound thrust Rabbit. The accessories, all the pieces you need to put the turbine in, you know, the fuel tank, the pumps, the hoses, the clamps, all the things that you're going to find that you're going to need, pretty much is going to total up to close to about $600 or so, more or less. Battery price goes way down, but you still need a battery. Receivers are the same, servos are the same, retracts are the same. Miscellaneous parts and taxes are about the same as an EDF, about $400. Brings the total grand price to $5,100. So I hope this helps get your head ready for what direction you want to travel in. Now with that in mind, like I said, I'm going to go with the pusher prop. That way the whole airplane's done. I can go in any direction I want. I can keep it. I can learn how to fly the airplane and get comfortable with it, do a lot of touch and goes, and then use this for my base airplane. I'm going to actually do this pusher prop. I've got a Scorpion. It's a HK 4025 890, pushing a 10-7 prop with 6 cells. That's Scorpion HK 4025 890 kV, 10-7 prop. And you put the prop on backwards and run the motor backwards and it pushes just fine. I made this bracket out of aluminum angle. I bought this down at Home Depot. It's 2 inches wide by, I believe, an 1/8 inch thick. I traced out what I needed, cut it with a saber saw that has a hacksaw blade on it, took it to a grinding wheel, ground it off nice and smooth, and then went to the other side of the grinding wheel, which has a wire brush on it, and did a whole brushed effect on it. I did that not for looks, but so the paint would stick to it. Then I spray painted it black, and the actual bracket that holds the motor itself is a bracket I bought for another airplane, and then just mounted it to this bracket here for the aircraft. And it'll mount right on the back of the aircraft. Show you here. It's going to mount right back here. So it's going to be a nice addition. One of the things about this aircraft is it's pretty darn nose heavy if you don't go turbine. It really was designed from scratch to be a gas engine back here, a lot of weight, stick your fuel back here and all that stuff. And then most of the people back in those days, when they were running gas engines, don't mind putting weight in airplanes, so they put lead weight or whatever they needed back here to make the thing heavier. I'm all about lightness, and I'm sure you guys are too, so that's why I ended up making this bracket that sticks way back on the airplane, so it throws more of the CG way back. And then also the battery is going to mount about this far back in the airplane. I'm making a little chute where the battery sticks right back in here. So I open the cockpit, the battery slides right in here. That puts all my weight back in this area here. So I'm trying to balance the weight of the nose of the aircraft. When you get the airplane out of the box, you're going to notice that all the monocoat's really wrinkled. And if yours isn't, then you're much happier than I was. When I took mine out, the monocoat was very wrinkled to the point to where I was thinking that it almost had to be cut off and remonocoated. But turns out that it can be heat treated down. Now what you want to do is buy yourself one of these deluxe heat guns. Spend the money. I think it was only 20 bucks, something like that. $18. 18 bucks at gravesrc.com. Gravesrc.com. 18 bucks. $17.99. And this is really the only way to go. I tried a hair dryer. Doesn't get hot enough. You really need one of these. I tried one of these small little irons, and it works, but there's 2 problems with the iron. First off is this is a lot of airplane to cover, so as you're using the little iron, you can't keep the heat even enough. Plus, when you come across areas where you may have some of the blue or red striping, it gets those areas too hot, and then the white area not hot enough. So you tend to melt a little bit and curl up the edges. So definitely use one of these heat guns. This is definitely the way to go. spend the money. It's an investment here at $18. All right, servos. For the tail, for the rudder and the elevator, the HS85MG. HS85MG. Also use these for your brakes and retract servo. The MG version of this, metal gears, fantastic. So you're going to need 2 for the elevator, 2, 1 for each rudder, and 1 for the servo for the retract, and 1 for the brake if you go brakes. For the flaps and the elevator, flaps and the ailerons, the Futaba S3305. Futaba S3305. These fit perfectly, no cutting, drop right into the wings, and they provide plenty of torque if you end up going turbine. Also, one of the S3305s for the nose wheel, plenty of torque, does a great job, fits right down in the front. So that's your servos. You need 11 of them puppies.